What's up, guys? Zach Evnesh here, and welcome back to another episode of the Iron Roots podcast brought to you by Play. Now, in this episode, I'm bringing you back in time to a book that was published right before I was born. It was published in 1974. The title should have been An Encyclopedia of How to Be a Badass.
This is Play's Iron Roots,
A podcast dedicated to uncovering the strength legends, the training methods, and the stories around physical culture and iron history. I'm your host, Zach Evnesh. Grab yourself a protein shake, chalk up, and prepare to travel back in time through some of the most awe-inspiring stories of iron history. It's go time. So guys, the title of this book is not the Encyclopedia of How to Be a Badass. That's what it should have been. It's actually this book, Wrestling Physical Conditioning Encyclopedia, written by John Jesse. Now remember, this book is written in 1974. This is a time where coaches, even coaches in the NFL and football and all sport coaches are saying, don't do strength training. Don't get involved with any kind of weight training. You'll become muscle bound. You'll become slow. So this book was really just completely going against the grain that John Jesse wrote. And he actually wrote some other books, but they didn't take off like this. This book is amazing. And I'm going to read a couple excerpts from it, and then I'm going to talk to you about some of the big takeaways in here. Now, check this out. This is going from 1966. In 1966, Jack Sergerson, an American wrestling coach writing about weight training for wrestlers, asked the question, what are the strength problems that we encounter in wrestling? In reply to this question, this is what he wrote. I shall mention a few. American wrestlers have a worldwide reputation for weak backs. I mean, just hearing that, I feel like that would be something Louis Simmons says. He said they have a worldwide reputation for having weak backs. Our neck strength leaves much to be desired. In wrestling, we pull much more with the arms and shoulders than we push. Consequently, we should train more in that direction. He's talking about using a lot more posterior muscles than doing a lot of benching instead. Our training programs, especially the weight programs, tend to overlook the importance of rotation power. Guys, that's 1966, and he's talking about rotational strength and power. Our wrestlers, indeed all of our athletes, suffer from weak legs. I love how he doesn't just say, we've identified that we have weak legs. He says they suffer from weak legs. Finally, if the strength of a squad, meaning a team, were to be tested regularly during a season, we would observe an insidious loss of strength as the season progressed. I love it because I've been saying this since day one. The best athletes I work with, they train year-round. They don't stop training in season, which common sense would tell you, hey, it's the season. It's the most important part of everything. We've trained the off-season. Now's the season. Do we stop training? No. We modify and adjust and adapt to all the competitions that we have and the practice that we do. But he probably saw that wrestlers were training in the off season, and then when the season started, they stopped all strength training. The other thing that's amazing in this book, and you guys should definitely check out the video that we'll be posting over at play.pro, is that there are sandbag exercises in here. And think about it. Sandbag training is something I started utilizing in 2002. This book, again, written in 1974, he shows you how to make your own sandbag, talks about shouldering the sandbag, clean and press, squats with a sandbag. And when I think about it, I think about opportunity. I say to myself, why the heck did I not come across this book when I was a wrestler? This book could have changed my life. Reading the stories and reading, the information. Check this out. This is another part that I want to share with you guys. 76, right? 1974. Talks about different methods of training. He talks about the cheating exercise system. What does that look like? a barbell power curl, or an underhand hang clean. And exercises like that, when I was in my high school days in 89 through 93, I read none of those things. I read all about strict and pump-up exercises. Another thing that's spoken about here that is coming about in more popularity now in the year 2019 is eccentric strength training system. He talks about having training partners helping you lift the weight and then you lower it slower to develop greater eccentric strength. We're hearing about that stuff only in the past few years with Cal Dietz, although Cal Dietz does say that he's been using it since 2000. Eccentric strength is being spoken about here in 1974, before Coach Evanesh was even born. The other things that really hit me in this book was he's showing you how to build equipment. So we're going to be taking photos and putting it in the video. Make sure you watch it. But he's taking wooden blocks and inserting pipe through it to make weights. This encyclopedia, like I said, it's called the Wrestling Physical Conditioning Encyclopedia. It should have been the Encyclopedia on How to Be a Badass. Would have been so applicable, and still is applicable, for any athlete utilizing the sandbags. There's a full chapter in this book dedicated to how to strengthen the grip. There's a photo in there on the development of neck strength where they take a football helmet and show you how to drill pipes onto it to add weights. And you don't see those things being utilized anymore, these kind of throwback or old school methods of developing strength. A lot of it was you had to find a way to make the equipment. You couldn't go out and buy a football helmet that had a apparatus to add weights to it. Maybe you could buy the neck harness. The other things that are in there that are really interesting is they have what's called iron boots, and he shows you how to make them in the book. So those iron boots were popularized in those 1950s, 1940s, where guys were using them to hang upside down, to open up their back. They were hanging upside down from pull-up bars. Coach John Jesse shows the utilization of them to add to your calisthenics, and doing things like scissor crossovers for the legs and the hips, laying on your belly on a bench and doing what we now call reverse hypers. He called them reverse scissors. This book right here should be in your library, but I'm going to say this: good luck finding it. Anybody who's got this book likely does not want to get rid of it. There might be a couple websites out there where people obtain the republishing or reprinting rights to them, but if you get this book, I highly recommend never giving it to anybody. I do want to send a shout out and a big thank you to my friend Josh Henkin, who actually gifted me this book. And what's interesting is Josh was probably the first guy who got me involved in training with sandbags. We were talking about why the wrestlers from places like Iowa, Ohio, and Pennsylvania were so strong. And he said a lot of them grew up and worked on farms, which was their own backyards, and that's what made them strong. And he said most wrestlers in those states have a climbing rope hanging from their barn or from their garage. And Josh was a huge influence on me on making my own sandbags, training with sandbags, and then, of course, this book, the Encyclopedia on How to Be a Badass, just sealed the deal. So that's it, guys, for this episode of the Iron Roots podcast, brought to you by Play. Make sure you check out the video. Go to play.pro. I want you to see the photos. And I'm going to throw out a challenge for you guys. There's something in this book called a swing bell. If you guys build your own swing bell and you demonstrate a video of you guys using the swing bell and you tag myself and Play, I'm going to get you a 1-year membership to the Play Pro app. But you got to build it. You got to show video of you building it. And then you got to show video of you putting it to use. Make it happen, and you'll get a 1-year membership to the Play Pro app. See you guys later.